Morning, guys. Tuesday morning early. Yeah, I just put my video up, and first thing I did was put the seam sealer on the cab floor, sealed everything up. So once that sets up, I can give it a second coat of paint, and that's pretty much where I left off on the previous video. I think right after I'm done that, I'm going to start prepping the doors, front fenders, and hood for the light gray regular high build primer that I use, and get those things ready for block sanding. And we'll continue on with the body work on the cab, but I want to let that paint dry before I start doing that, because the dust and everything will just get hung up in the paint. It'll make a freaking mess, and I don't need a mess. I just cleaned it all up. So yeah, I got a little bit of body work to do on the dash as well. So once that paint is dry on the inside, I think I'll cover it all up with some paper, masking paper, and just to keep it, black instead of turning gray with dust and crap and everything else. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and we're gonna carry on with that kind of stuff. I'm gonna dig out the brake pedal setup I think that I'm going to be using. Maybe start working on figuring that out, where it's going to come out and where I can drill my hole and mount my brake booster and all that stuff. So yeah, lots to do, lots going on. So we might as well just get right to it, man. Okay, so there we go. Everything's all been seam sealed and a second coat of paint on it, and yeah, all looks really good. So I'm pretty much done with this. The only thing I do want to do is once it is dry, I'm going to cover it up with masking paper. And the reason for that is I've got some, I've got a little bit of putty work to do on the dash. There's a small dent at the far end of it. There's where I hammered the one dent out here. And there's one tiny one right there. So, yeah, so we'll be doing some sanding and stuff like that, plus spraying with primer. So, I don't want to get overspray all over the black. So we'll cover it up, and but anyway, the floor and the firewall I'm calling done. So over there is my hood. I've set it up. You can see how dusty it is. Normally I would just blow it off with air, but if I did that now, that would be stupid. I'd get dust all over my paint. So I'm going to wipe it down with a damp cloth and probably use wet paper to scuff it. So I can scuff the hood, get on the doors, excuse the furnace, get on the doors and the front fenders, get all of that stuff scuffed and ready for primer. And then tomorrow morning I can cover up my frame, anything else that I don't want to get overspray on, and shoot some primer on some stuff. So yeah, moving right along. I'm liking it. So yeah, that's where we're at, man. All right, so scuffed the hood already, and gonna move some stuff around here. I think papered up the floor, and I already started the body filler work on the dash. So yeah, moving right along. What I'd like to do is move the truck to the back of the garage, shuffle all my stuff around here, so I've got room to work and set up to shoot primer tomorrow. So yeah, I always seem to be moving stuff around. It never ends. All right, so I got me some working room, and that's awesome. Yeah, it took me about 20 minutes to straighten everything out. So I'm going to carry on with wet sanding on these things to scuff them up. Couple of reasons. One, it's a lot less dust, and secondly, it's when it's wet, on the black, it's a lot easier to see things. So, you can see little nick right here, this little blotch here. So, it's a lot easier and better to touch these things up on the epoxy rather than on regular primer. So, yeah, that's the reason for that. And just using a soft, pretty flexible rubber pad, 220 grit wet paper, and bucket of warm water. I like it warm because if if it's too cold, after a while your hand starts to freeze up, cramp up on you. At least mine does, probably because it's an old hand. I also put in just a little shot of dish soap in the water. The reason for that is it helps keep the sandpaper from clogging up. So yeah, so I'm just going to carry on. I'll set up the camera. We'll wet sand on this thing for a bit, and then maybe I'll go to time lapse to finish it off, and just to keep on motoring, man. So you can hear it cutting into the primer. Just make sure you change your directions, and don't stay in one spot too long. Move around. You don't want to end up gouging and everything out. Again, I like to go, X pattern this way and then back the other way. And it's not rocket science, right? It's sanding. Sanding's one of the more inglorious jobs, but for body work, you can't do it without sanding. Period. Almost time for a refresh on the water. A little bit more here. Done a lot of sanding in my day. Had to get a background check to go work at a senior citizens home, and needed to get a police report, whatever. So I went in with my buddy, and we both had to get it done, and had to get fingerprinted. They couldn't get a fingerprint off me. My fingers were too worn down from sanding. Took like half a dozen tries before they finally were able to read my print. So, gonna rob a bank or something. Go sand the car down before you go out. Anyway, I'm gonna change up the water, and when I come back, we'll put it on time lapse and we'll finish this thing off. Okay, so there you go. Supper time. So I'm gonna go in and have supper, and then I'll come out and get that other door done. So tomorrow it's supposed to get up to like zero degrees, so that's not too bad for spraying. But I have to go into town and get some primer. So I'm kind of nervous to find out how much primer's gone up. I haven't bought it since early summer, I think. And I know they've had at least 3 price increases since the last time I bought it. So I'm expecting the worst. But I'll report and let you know what it cost me. Yeah, so I want to get primer in the morning, and then you know, shoot the fenders, doors, and the hood in primer, and then they're ready for block sanding. So yeah, we'll see you in the morning, and until then, have a beer and relax, or get out in the garage. Morning, guys. I got up this morning and I had to shovel a few inches of snow around, and then I went out and got my primer. And yes, it did go up. Went up about 65 bucks from the last time I bought it. So a gallon of primer and the hardener, 235 bucks. I didn't have to buy reducer this time because I have a can, but if I did, that's another 160. So pretty much you're looking at 400 bucks for a gallon of primer. That's not the worst part. The worst part is I'm going to need another gallon, more than likely. So between the primer and the epoxy primer, just in primers now, we're looking at 1,200 bucks for this truck. So it's not a cheap game. This stuff is PPG. It's good stuff. I like it. It's very thick. It almost acts like a spray-on filler. You know, it fills in scratches and little nicks and stuff like that. And it's easy to sand. With, you know, as long as you let it set up well, it's easy to sand. So yeah, I like using it. So it is what it is. I know there's more expensive ones and there's cheaper ones, but if you cheap out on this stuff, this is the foundation for a paint job. So like anything else, if you have a shitty foundation, you have a shitty end result. So, you know, don't cheap out too much. And yeah, so I got to move some stuff around. I got to cover up my old Ford and a few other things, move and shuffle like I'm always doing, and set up, and we'll get the stuff sprayed. So might as well get to it. Okay, so I got the gun loaded up. I'm doing the 2 fenders and 1 door first. I only have so much space. Doing the 2 fenders because I need the sawhorses to do the hood after. So I wiped everything down with wax and grease remover, and I'll start spraying, and then we'll finish up in time lapse. All right, so I've got a time lapse. Okay, note to self: when recording something, you must hit the record button. I failed miserably at that, so no time lapse for you. Anyway, you saw me spray the first coat. It just would be the same thing, except really, really fast. So, door looks really good. This fender here is going to need some good, healthy, actually both fenders, some healthy block sanding. But overall, not bad, And you can see, I mean, how smooth it is. There were some deep scratches in here from, using 80 grit paper and stuff like that. And this primer filled it right in. I ended up with 3 coats on everything. So first coat not too heavy, but really laid it on in the second and third. So yeah, I'm quite pleased. So I'm gonna have to wait for a couple of hours for this to set up, so I can take the fenders off and put the hood on these sawhorses. It's about 3 o'clock now in the afternoon, so I'll probably get that done after supper. I'm not gonna bother filming it. I think I have enough footage for a video anyway, and it's going out tomorrow morning. So I'll probably work on putting the video together between now and supper. So there you go. All right. One thing about spraying in Northern Ontario, Canada in January, you're not going to get any bugs in your paint. So that's a good thing. Yeah, all these pieces will be ready for to start block sanding. So that's a good thing. And like I said, I'll get the hood and the other door up and done tonight. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do in the next video. I should start probably on maybe exhaust or getting the brake pedal set up. Should start sanding on the cab too. I'm going to make myself a list and figure out how I'm going to tackle this. But we're making good progress. Lots of things are getting done, and I'm kind of hopping around a little bit. That's my attention deficit disorder. I get bored easily, so I gotta change it up, man. Or I get a little sluggish. So, and I don't have time to be sluggish, so just gotta get after it. What else? New subscribers, thank you very much once again. And if you've subscribed already, tell your buddies and tell your chums. And if you haven't, please do. It's growing at a good pace, and I'm enjoying it. So don't forget to leave comments down below as well. And I enjoy reading them and answering comments. So yeah, don't be shy. And if you got your ass parked on the couch and you're watching Real Housewives of Bismarck, North Dakota or something, get up off the couch, get in the garage and build something, man. Later, guys.